Before you can build a website, you need a domain name, and where you buy your domain name actually matters. It affects your pricing, your renewal, and how everything easy is to set up once you actually decide to build a website. We at WBeginner test dozens of different domain providers, hosting providers, and in this video, I'm going to give you the 7 best places you can buy a domain name. So the first recommendation to buy a domain name is from BlueHost. Now, BlueHost is a domain registrar and also a website hosting provider, so you can get both. Now, one thing to keep in mind, BlueHost is one of the only hosting providers recommended by WordPress themselves. So this is a hosting recommendation. Domain name is something else. But you get an advantage if you get a domain name from BlueHost directly. And that's what this is about. So if you are stuck in a situation where you don't know how to build a website, then BlueHost is probably the easiest way to start from, hey, I just want a website, or I don't know how to do anything, how to connect my domain and website, then BlueHost is the best choice. Now, if you use the link in the description, that is a special link to BlueHost, you'll get a reduced price from what you see. You also get a domain name for absolutely free. So if you are already looking for a domain name to build your website, if you go through BlueHost, you get a better pricing. You also get a domain name for absolutely free. So it's very easy to do. Just use the link in the description. You can go to the pricing plan here. You plan the pricing, and you'll see a multiple pricing. Now, do keep in mind that prices are sometimes localized, so you might see different pricing, and if you use the link in the description, you'll get a better discounted price. So they have a few different options here. For standard, they have starter, business, e-commerce. They have high performance plans, they have commerce plans, VPS, dedicated, and all sorts of plans. If you're just building a basic beginner website, start with the basic, standard, and starter. Use the link in the description, you'll get a better price, and you'll be able to select your domain name. Once you go through the pricing page and once you complete and make your purchase, you should be able to, or you will be able to select a domain name of choice, and all TLDs are supported, so you can find that there. Just add it to your account. When you're building your website, you can select the domain name, and BlueHost will take care of the rest. So it'll connect your website to a domain name too, so it saves you the trouble. And we've done multiple videos showcasing how easy it is to build a website with BlueHost. So I'll link some in the description if you want to check them out and understand how you can build a website. It's pretty straightforward. So that's BlueHost for you. So one of the best things, also if I give you a pros and cons of using BlueHost, then the free domain name absolutely for free for an entire year, and it's all officially recommended by WordPress.org. As I already mentioned, you have one-click WordPress install, so it's very beginner friendly. You don't have to do anything, and it has 24/7 support across multiple channels, which is good. On the con side, the domain renewal price does jump up when you actually renew your domain name after a year. That's with all domain names and all hosting providers, so nothing special, but just want to point it out. And you get some aggressive upsells during the checkout process, but you can always uncheck it. Nothing is added to your account by default. And it's not the cheapest option if you only need a domain name, because BlueHost primarily is a hosting provider. Domain name is an add-on thing for them. So if you're looking for a cheaper, just a domain name option, there'll be other things on the list, which I'm going to mention. That's BlueHost for you. Let's talk about the next one. The next hosting provider of choice, and I did say hosting provider because the next choice, Hostinger, is a hosting provider, but they also have domain name. So you can purchase a domain name. I have friends and family who have bought domain names from the Hostinger. I personally have websites hosted on Hostinger. I have test websites that I use regularly hosted on Hostinger, and I have a VPS on Hostinger as well, which I use for some other purposes. So I can personally vouch that Hostinger is a great balance when it comes to purchasing domain names. Even hosting, the performance to price ratio is good if you're looking for a website, and the prices are fair if you're looking for just a domain name. So you can go here, and if you use the link in the description, you'll get a reduced price here as well. And as similar to, as I mentioned in the feature set, compared to BlueHost, you have similar features, but something additional. For example, if you go for the basic plan, the pricing you'll see is different, but you can create up to 3 websites, storage and websites and mailboxes. That's also different. For example, BlueHost, I don't think so. It gives you a free email, but here, I think they give you a 1-month free trial, but here you get 2 mailboxes per website free for an entire year, and also a domain name for free. So not only are you getting a domain name for free, you're getting up to 3 websites for a reduced price, and you get 20 GB of storage, 3 websites, which I mentioned, and 2 mailboxes per website for absolutely free. So it gives you a lot of options, and they have other plans as well. If you want to check out how many websites you can create your apps as well. If you want, you can create managed Node.js apps that you can see on screen. So there's a lot of features here that you can do, and some other better features about, if I talk about the pros and cons of using Hostinger, first of all, they're the cheapest domain plus hosting bundle. So they'll offer you the best price if you want hosting and domain as well. And they offer free Whois privacy. Usually, if you go anywhere else, they charge you for Whois privacy. So that's a great speed. And as I already mentioned, their servers are very high performance. So they use Lightspeed server tech for great performance, and they have a clean dashboard. So it's very easy to use. I personally use it, so I can attest to it. On the con side, the lowest tiers do have some limited resources. That will be for every hosting provider. If you pay for a minimum plan, you get minimum amount of resources. So you have to decide if the website you're building, if you're expecting a lot of traffic, maybe the lowest tier plan is not for you. But if you're just building a basic website, the lowest tier plan can survive. Renewal pricing, of course, increases as you go along, and that is for every hosting provider as well. Hosting is not the only one that does that, and support can be slower during peak hours. That's the pros and cons. But if you want the absolute best, lowest cost of entry domain plus hosting, then hosting is great, and the free whois protection that you get also saves you money every single year. So that's something to keep in mind with hosting. The next solution of choice, pun intended, is network solutions. Now, they are a pure domain registrar only. They don't provide any hosting. And if you're just confused about what the difference is, so you can buy a domain name here, you can buy hosting separately, and then you can connect the two. So you don't have to move your domains. Domain can stay on network solutions, and then your hosting can just connect to the domain name. So it's perfectly fine for having a domain name and hosting on different providers, essentially. Okay, so pure domain registrar, as I mentioned, network solution, one of the oldest domain registrars in the business, and they've been around since early days of the internet. So they offer a lot of different domain extensions or TLDs. So that's the advantage you get. So if you have an obscure TLD that you're looking to buy, you can get the TLD here. Now, when it comes to the pricing, it depends on the domain name. I can make a search here. For example, if I go beginner.com, you might see some pricing here, but it depends on the TLD, depends on the actual domain name you're doing, and it depends on even if the domain is available, right? So of course, WordPress beginner, I'm pretty sure will not be available. So you can see it here. It's taken. You can place a back order, or you can be recommended other domains, and you can see the pricing here. I think beginner.com is a very affordable domain name. So we can definitely look at that. So domain names available. You can here see all the details here. Pricing, as I said, already varies. The advantage is that domain search is very fast, and you can get basic stuff like SSL, basic website builder, even though they offer something, but usually I would recommend only using the domain name service from Network Solutions. Now, in terms of pros and cons, of course, they have a huge TLD selection. So you can buy almost any TLD you want. They have established trusted brands. They've been in business for decades. And the third benefit is that they are an all-in-one service if you want email and SSL from the same place. And domain search is very fast and shows, I'd say, decent alternatives. Usually, a lot of these websites, when they do it, they search, the recommendations for alternatives are pretty not good in my opinion. But it is from Network Solutions, it's not actually as bad. So cons is that pricing compared to Namecheap, which I'm going to mention in later parts of this video, is slightly higher. So Namecheap does offer better pricing, and for Network Solutions, if you look at the dashboard, it just feels a little outdated compared to the modern design we're used to. Support is all right. Sometimes it can be slow, great, and whois privacy is not included. So you'll have to pay for whois privacy. And if I just give you a one-line solution or one-line conclusion, then it's a solid, reliable domain registrar, especially if you want a high TLD choice. So if you have a lot of choices or high TLDs that you're looking for, then you will get all the options here, but you might end up paying slightly more compared to other solutions on this entire video on list. The next domain provider and kind of a website hosting provider as well is GoDaddy. And let me explain what I mean by kind of. So if you go to GoDaddy's website, you of course see the GoDaddy logo, GoDaddy everything. GoDaddy is one of the most popular hosting providers that you probably have heard of because they've invested quite a lot in branding. Now, in terms of the pricing and everything else, I'll cover that. But you can see that they are aggressive with getting you as a customer. So they'll offer you great pricing for the first year, which is great. You can take advantage of that. Some hosting providers might not give you such great deals, at least for the first year. Now they have a massive domain name selection. So every TLD you can think of, I think they have the biggest TLD collection, and they have a domain brokerage service as well. So if you go to the domains here, you can actually see they have a brokerage service, they have an auction service. So if you want a premium domain name or you're a domain name investor, you want to become one, you have all sorts of features here. Now, you can even register domain names for 10 years at a time, which is great. So GoDaddy is for domain name registration most of the time. Now, when I said that why the hosting provider part is confusing, because they do have a section here for websites. They have a section here for hosting as well, but most of the time it's not something that they popularize or they showcase more often, but you can find some hosting services here. And if you see here that you get basic WordPress hosting for a small price, the only thing you get is one website, but you can add 99 websites and storage. So no other features mention what kind of things you get. So I would say for hosting, it looks like mostly a site thing. So if you're considering GoDaddy, mostly stick with the domain names. So if I give you pros and cons of GoDaddy, then you can they have a brokerage service for acquiring taken domains, up to 10-year registrations you can do. They have a massive TLD selection and easy bulk domain management. So if you buy a lot of domain names, you can easily manage them in bulk. The cons are that you don't get any SSL if you just buy a domain name, which you usually don't need. But if you have an SSL, then you can connect it to any website later. No, whois privacy will cost you extra, and slightly higher price than Namecheap for standard .com domain names, but you can nullify that with as in offers. And you usually get constant upsold throughout the process when you are going about. If I have to conclude, then it's best if you need a cheapest domain name, you're looking for an actual deal, or if you're looking for bulk domain management, premium domain names, then it's good. But otherwise, you might find some better deals, I say more reliable services. Otherwise, on through rest of the video that or from the domain providers that I'm going to talk about. So that's what's up with GoDaddy. The next domain name provider of choice for domain names only, but they do offer hosting, is Namecheap. Now, from the name itself, the name, you can understand what their offer is, right? Namecheap, so you get a domain name for cheap. You can see the pricing here. They give you .com, .net, .org. The pricing might be slightly confusing because you might be thinking that, hey, GoDaddy had better pricing. So Namecheap is cheap, but also is fair. So 1 year discounts are different because then next year it renews at a different price. So Namecheap usually doesn't do aggressive marketing like that, but you'll find the domain names for a fair price here. So you can see here the pricing is $649 or $679 instead of this price. You get a discount, and you can see the renewal pricing, and I think that's very fair. You can find the renewal pricing everywhere, and they do give you free Whois guard or Whois privacy on all domain names, which is included, not an upsell, so that you save money over there as well. You can see the pricing of all the TLDs here. For the domain auction marketplace, they also have similar auction marketplace like GoDaddy, but I'd say the selection might vary according to what kind of domain name you're looking for, and they have a clean, fast interface. Now, when it comes to hosting, they do have some hosting options, but it's slightly, I'd say, not as attractive as other options in my opinion. So if I go here, the choice they've given is EasyWP, and if you go to the pricing plans, unless you pay yearly, you don't get anything special. In fact, monthly price is usually more expensive, and you don't get I say better options compared to hosting or their plans. Now if you go yearly, the pricing becomes something more affordable, but the renewal prices remain the same. You get some basic stuff like compared to hosting where you get a couple of inboxes for free, you get a free domain name, you don't get some goodies or bonuses like that. So you might need to consider if you want to purchase hosting from Namecheap. Otherwise, there are other options that I've already mentioned. If I give you pros and cons, then you get a cheap and you also get fair pricing. So if you exclude the deals that hosting providers give you, you'll probably find the cheapest .com on Namecheap. Free Whois privacy also saves you money. That's also pretty good. Most hosting providers might also charge you for that. And you have a built marketplace for premium domains if you want to go that route. And you have a simple, very clean and easy to understand interface. And cons is that support is chat only, no phone support. And compared to other domain names or domain providers on this list, you don't get as wide of a feature set compared to doing this, for example, bulk domain management, etc. But if you're just looking for a simple domain name, Namecheap is pretty standard. If I have to conclude, then best price with free privacy included, Namecheap is most reliable. So you go buy domain name, you get privacy free, you're happy. If you want hosting, you can always take hosting from another provider that I mentioned, connect your domain name and start using that. So that's what's up with Namecheap. The next provider on this list, which is a hosting provider as well, and their hosting is pretty reliable, is DreamHost. Now, you can see or understand from the name, their primary business is hosting, DreamHost, not dream name, right? DreamHost. So you can see here, you have the offer listed here, $9.99 for first year, which is already slightly expensive than Namecheap. So Namecheap is cheaper. Their selection is pretty standard, but you do get some obscure, I'd say. If you're looking for a TLD, a special TLD, and also reliable hosting, might be a great choice. .tech, .org, .ai, all sorts of domain names are available. So for the hosting, I think you get over 400 TLDs and you get free Whois protection as well. So that's also a huge thing. If I go to the hosting plans, if you're interested I think I went to the just the hosting section, but you can see they have a lot of different hosting providers or hosting options, high performance as well, regular WordPress hosting, other hosting. I think this is the beginner hosting. You can see the pricing here. If you get a yearly subscription, which is what most hosting providers will give you, if you want to get the best price, you pay a ridiculously low price. You have an AI website builder. You have 25 websites which you might not use. The limit, or I'd say the 40K limit is here. And if you read through the details, so they estimate that, hey, your hosting plan can support these many visitors, which is decent. I'd say 40K for a starter website is pretty good. So they give you some, I'd say pretty overall, that's a standard package. I don't see a free domain name here, but it might be included. It's not maybe in the details. You get a handcrafted starter website, 3 months free for 20 mailboxes, which is huge. But I think other provider I mentioned, hosting that gives you 2 inboxes entirely for free for a year, and you get a free domain name. So it's actually here, and you get a money guarantee and everything else. So from a hosting perspective, and by the way, DreamHost is one of the hosting providers that's also recommended by WordPress.org. So it's a pretty standard hosting provider, or that's a renowned hosting provider. So you can get a pretty good deal here. You can get can compare the package between all the hosting providers that I've mentioned. Domain name already mentioned. Pricing might not be the cheapest, but if you get it for free for the first year, pretty decent deal. What will it renew at? We don't know. So that's something to keep in mind. If I talk about the pros and cons, you can buy domain name or hosting, which is pretty good, flexible work. WordPress.org officially recommends it, pretty good. Free Whois, privacy included, pretty good. 400 TLD options, awesome. On the cons, the domain name price is slightly higher compared to just the domain name. So if you just go to Namecheap, you might find it cheaper. Control panel is not cPanel. So if you're used to cPanel, they'll have their own custom panel and no phone support on the basic plan. If I have to conclude, then DreamHost can be a great provider. If you just want options, you want domain name, or you want to upgrade to hosting, and you want an overall great package and you're happy with it, DreamHost can be a great choice. So that's what's up with DreamHost. The next provider on the list that can get you a domain name and hosting for WordPress is WordPress. So WordPress.com is a great place to start your website, purchase domain name, or do both. Now, just to clarify, if you're not familiar with WordPress.com and WordPress.org, doesn't mean WordPress technically kind of means, when we mention WordPress, it means the WordPress software. And WordPress, you can take it, install it on any hosting provider. So BlueHost, DreamHost, etc., etc. They have WordPress installed on their servers, but WordPress also offers their own hosting service, which is managed. So they take care of maintenance, everything else, which is WordPress.com. So WordPress.com, great place to start a website and also purchase a domain name. So if you go here, you'll find all the details, what's required. But one thing to know about WordPress.com is that's very reliable, because they're a premium hosting provider that handle some of the biggest, websites on the web. So you never have to think about if your website's performance will suffer. In terms of the domain, you can go to the domain wordpress.com/domains. You can find the domain names. You might not find the most, lowest pricing, but if you're looking to build a website on WordPress, then you might be better off, because you will get a domain name for free, which I'm going to talk about. So I think if last time I checked, the pricing was around $12 a year for .com, but as I said, you can get a free domain name. It's fully managed, and in terms of the pricing, there's some caveats to talk about, which I'm going to explain. So I think I should just go to the pricing here to explain what the caveats are. Now, if you see here, you can actually get a free plan, but it doesn't include custom domain names. So you can't connect your domain name. To connect a domain name, you'll have to go to the personal plan, which you can get for a ridiculous price. These are localized pricing. You might see a different pricing. So if you want premium stats and some other features, you might need to go to the premium plan. But if you want to have analytics, etc., you might need to go to the business plan. So in my opinion, the challenge here is that you might see and be attracted by this low price, but the actual usable WordPress experience start at the business plan, because you'll get storage, you'll upload videos, you'll have premium themes, you can install plugins, you can connect to Google Analytics, you can upload videos and do all the other things. So business is the one that you should be using if you want all the feature set of a WordPress website. Otherwise, you might feel it's limited. Now, I think most of the time you can start with a personal plan but upgrade, but just putting it out there that if you are looking for basic features, absolute the beginner features, you don't care, just want to like a personal blog, then personal plan might be sufficient. But if you are you have some commercial goals, you want to start a business, you want to build a business website, then the business plan might be something you might need to have. In terms of the pros and cons, you can definitely get the fully managed hosting with domain names, no maintenance required, pretty easy to use. You get a free domain name for on annual plans. You have built-in backup security, and it's great for non-technical users who don't want to manage the site. In terms of the cons, it's slightly more expensive, so you might not get the best or cheapest deal. I would say deal depends on the performance as well. So lower tier plans, already mentioned, you might need to get the business plan to have all sorts of WordPress related features. And domain name pricing isn't competitive. That's I already mentioned. It's 12, starts at I think $12. So you might need if you're just looking for a domain name and you want the cheapest price, other providers might be able to give it better. But if you want already also looking for a hosting and you're just saying I don't want to manage my website, then this might be the easiest option. Plus purchase domain name, you'll get it for free for the first year anyway. If I have to conclude, that's the best option for completely hands-off experience. So if you don't want to spend more time managing your website and spend more time building your website and more importantly, getting the results from your website, for example, actually getting leads, sales, customers, then WordPress.com might be the best choice. So that's what's up with WordPress.com. And what I'll do here is right now is put up a table of all the comparison of all the different providers. So you can take a screenshot. Now do keep in mind that features change. People, hosting providers try out different things all the time. And pricing also changes. Pricing is many times localized, so you might see different pricing. So this is just a reference. Once you're happy with it, go to the actual provider. I'll have links to all of them in the description of this video, where you can actually verify that whatever I'm saying is actually, or whatever I'm showing in the table is accurate, and then make a decision. So take a screenshot, save it somewhere if you like to, and make sure to like the video. At the same time, share it, subscribe, etc. if you haven't done so. You're watching Yuvraj from Double Beginner. I'll catch you in the next video very, very soon. Take care.